what is the state of the country's trade relations with Australia nearly a year into the Marcos presidency? Let's get the thoughts of Rafael Toda, President of the Australia-Philippines Business Council. Mr. Toda, great to have you with us on The Final Word. First of all, what is the perception right now of Australian investors about the Philippines under the Marcos administration?
Well, I think there's definitely been a change in that perception. I think it's for the better. I think that there's a lot of liberalization that's being experienced, and I think that this is going to start to happen sooner rather than later.
And the president has been traveling the world over the first 11 months of his presidency,
Correct.
saying that the Philippines is open for business.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, you also have a lot of economic laws that have been liberalized, from the Foreign Investments Act, the Public Services Act, renewable energy, etc. Is this encouraging more Australian investors to put their hard-earned Australian dollars into the country?
Well, that's what it's aimed to do, right? And that's, of course, the objective, right? And so as part of the Australia-Philippine Business Council's mandate, that is also what we're trying to promote, or actively promoting, that the Philippines is open for business, and we're serious about it.
But are there already concrete plans for additional Australian investors to invest in the Philippines and create more jobs for our kababayans?
Well, I think that's going to come, right? I think that's very, very obvious in the way that the government is shaping their new foreign policies or their investment policies. Like, for example, I think you have Leighton, who recently announced that they were awarded the North-South rail expansion, right? So Leighton's is an Australian company. They're going to be employing Filipinos. So you have that employment, you've got that foreign expertise coming in, and of course it's sort of enhancing the local expertise here as well.
And Mr. Toda, you already have quite a number of Australian companies that have already made the Philippines their base, from the big telco company Telstra.
Yes.
You also have Macquarie and other major mining companies and BPOs.
That's correct. That's correct. And on the other side, you also have Filipino companies moving into Australia in a very strategic manner. San Miguel, for example, the Razon Group has got 2 companies there. They run the Port of Melbourne, the Victoria Port that they have there. It's the most advanced technological port in the world, and that's in Melbourne. And of course, you've got Ramcar. Ramcar, they just about own every single battery in an ICE vehicle, meaning internal combustion engine vehicle. So all the batteries, and that probably a good 80% are all Ramcar branded batteries, right? So, you know, we're proud of those things, right? We're very sort of proud that we're being able to put a statement, a Filipino statement into the Australian psyche or the Australian ecosystem.
Indeed, we have major Filipino conglomerates investing in Australia, but what we want are to bring those Australian investors onto our shores, create
Correct.
jobs, especially in the manufacturing sector. We have one of the lowest foreign direct investments in Southeast Asia.
Correct. Yeah, and that's their issues that we're trying to help the government resolve, right? As we are an advocacy group, right? And we work very closely with the Department of Trade and Investment in Australia. And they're extremely active. The ambassador, the Philippine ambassador to Australia, is very, very active in this area. And she's led so many missions already to the Philippines with Australian investors in hand. And of course, you also have the encouragement from the Australian ambassador here that is also very supportive of industry and skilling up, right, from Australia to the Philippines. In other words, giving us the skill sets that we need to, improve.
Skill sets and also Australian universities visiting the Philippines.
Exactly.
Teaching us the best practices, innovation, and technology, particularly on the grassroots levels, our educational system.
That's correct. That's correct. And a lot of exchanges, right? So student exchange, professor exchange, in a lot of areas, like, Murdoch University, for example, from Western Australia, was here last week, and I was with them. And we visited a number of government agencies. CHED was one. They also visited DOST for the biosecurity side of things. They also visited Ateneo de Manila, where they're looking to do some exchange, an MOU for an exchange in joint degrees, for example. UST, they're looking at researchers, joint research groups for UST, and joint programs as well. And the other thing is allied health, right? So they're very focused with that with UST, as well as, of course, the biosecurity, which fits in nicely with that, right? Then you've got Lyceum, for example. They went to Lyceum as well. They're looking at the nursing side of things with Lyceum, possibly aged care. Because remember, Rico, Australia also has a problem, right? Australia has got a problem with lack of employees, right? Our workforce is low. So we are looking now at how we're going to be able to bring
our talent pool to Australia.
And I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying is Australia is looking for how they're going to bring a talent pool in. Of course, the Australia-Philippine Business Council is on top of that. And we of course look at the Philippines to bring this talent in. And they are classic cases for us. For example, aged care. We're very good at aged care. Nursing, we're world-renowned for nursing. So these are the sort of things that we're looking at. And Australia has started to liberalize the entries of these sort of sectors, industry.
That's great.
Sectors,
a lot of
right?
exchanges materializing between Australia and the Philippines, and of course, food diplomacy. A couple of weeks ago, we had Yasmin Newman promoting Filipino food in Australia, and
That's right.
also Australian produce that can be used in Filipino food.
That's correct. And in fact, that was an initiative of the Australia-Philippine Business Council. Actually, I put that together myself. What we did there was responded to a grant application that the Australian Foreign Affairs Department put together. The objective was to be able to stimulate trade between Australia and the ASEAN nations post-pandemic. And I thought that we would focus on the two hardest hit industries in both Australia and the Philippines, and that was tourism and hospitality.
And hopefully, with these exchanges, we could also narrow the trade imbalance between the Philippines and Australia, which is now at more than $2 billion favoring Australia.
Correct.
Mr. Toda.
Correct. So it's 2/3, right? 2/3 the other way. But what is the most prominent aspect or quality that we have in the Philippines? It's really our labor. It's really our labor. So our labor force being able to be exported is going to assist in that. I mentioned already the nursing. I mentioned already the aged care. But there's more. There's the motor trades, right? Mechanics, auto electricians, panel beaters, etc. Australia needs these people, and the visas are being liberated from that area. So where it was normally a major challenge, it's now not so much. Now, there's also the issue of being able to qualify. I mean, Australia's not easy. It's tough. But I think we've got the aptitude to be able to do that.
Looking forward to flourishing trade and business relations between Australia and the Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Rafael Toda from the Australia-Philippines Business Council.
Thank you very much.